issue is before they left the country, they have to train, and empower the local, and administrations. They have to work hand in hand with the federal government of Somalia, particularly in Mogadishu-based government. They must have a good relation with them, and also Kenya must has, what they call a strategy where the exit strategy. You cannot stay in somebody's land forever. It can't be like this. Because, that's the problem in Somalis now they're feeling. They're saying as long as Amazon are there, and they're in fact, containing the Al-Shabaab, they are part of the problem. They're no longer part of the solution. That's what the large number of Somalis now, are talking about. They're saying 9 years is enough. 9 years staying in Somalia is enough. They can easily pacify the entire nation. So what's next? These people, they have no hope for, the people become hopeless now. They become hopeless because they are giving the lifeline to what they call the Al-Shabaab, those village boys.
Thank you. Yeah. Abdul Wahab, we have to leave it at that right now and cross over to Kenya Red Cross, where they are launching their fund drive today. The Kenya Red Cross is set to launch a formal appeal for help to deal with the ongoing drought crisis in the country. And we cross over there where we have also our reporter, Brenda Wanga. She shall be giving us details of that. But for now, let's hear from the General Secretary that is happening right now.
So the first appeal out of the 1.3 million, we went to 114,620 in 5 counties of Kilifi, Kwale, Garissa, Tana River and Makueni. But now with the revised appeal, the government having declared that 2 million Kenyans need assistance, Kenya Red Cross is now going to target extra 226,166 people in 9 additional counties to the 5 that we talked about. And the new additional counties are Marsabit, which now I believe is the most affected, Turkana, Wajir, Mandera, West Pokot, Baringo, Isiolo, Samburu and Lamu. Even if Baringo in the statistic is being shown as being in alert, we know parts of Baringo could be actually in the next level, and that is particularly East Pokot and areas of Tiati. So the total Kenya Red Cross intervention that we want to intervene now on this revised appeal for the next 5 months is 340,786 people in 13 counties at the cost of roughly 1 billion Kenya shillings. Going back, if we just go back, Noella, on this one, the 114,000, what I said earlier, the appeal was 385 million Kenya shillings. We've been so far able to raise about 44% of that, largely thanks to the International Federation, thanks to private donation from Safaricom and KCB initially, that we've been able to now reach about 56,000 of the 114,000. So with the increased number, in 13 counties, we are looking or appealing now here to Kenyans and non-Kenyans and all well-wishers about 1 billion, and we will show you how we will intervene with this 1 billion if we got this money. So then February, May, we are saying 12 counties are expected to experience food insecurity crisis between February and May, according to FuseNet. So what we're basically saying, initially there were 11 or 12 counties. Now we're talking about 23 counties, and the numbers are keeping on increasing by virtue of the how severe the situation is. Okay? So again, for those who may be interested for statistics, we have numbers and the malnutritional mark of gum rates of children and under 5s and elderly people, and the whole issue of malnutrition, which is extremely getting severe in some of these counties. Anything between about 14 is seen to be serious and needed to be responded to. But the numbers are there. So in our intervention, as you see the number of counties, what we intend to do is in many folds. Number one, and 75% of this appeal is we are appealing for the whole issue of cash transfers. What we want to do is not give food where people don't even have water to cook that food, and where people maybe not even have enough firewood for that matter. So instead of doing food, which is very expensive to purchase from here or Nairobi or Mombasa or the major town, then the logistics involved, which is also very expensive, our way of doing business in this particular drought, which we have already done for a number of years in other emergencies, and we've done now in Kilifi, we've done this in Tana River, we've done this in Garissa, in Ijara, we're now doing it in Marsabit, in Laisamis and in North Hor, is to do cash transfers. Today we are lucky in this country that the whole issue of mobile money this country is a pioneer, whether it is M-Pesa, whether it is Airtel, whether it is Equity, Moneytel, or all these mobile monies that we can do. This country actually is at a cutting edge on this matter, and many Kenyans have these platforms already. So what we have been doing is to do cash transfers to these populations once they've been identified. What we do assessment of the most vulnerable, including by working closely with the central government, with county government, with local leaders, with chiefs, and communities themselves identify the most vulnerable people. Once they have been identified, we then, if they have any of these money transfer platforms, then we register them, and using that platform, as a press of a click of a button in Nairobi, we can transfer the money to them because they've been identified, they've been registered, they've been assessed, and the technology is there. We've done this already in Kilifi, and we've done this in the other counties so far. And we think it's working very well. It's transparent, it's accountable, it's quick. More importantly, it is dignified. This is where I think we need to emphasize on this matter, that the days of queues and queues and queues of giving people food, a few kilograms by queuing up, women have to queue up for 5 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours waiting for that little portion, is long gone. And today with technology, we need to have people get their dignity back. We don't need to make them feel miserable than they already are, because we know. In fact, a question that the media may ask is there food available in this country? And I'm saying even in those remote, far-flung areas, there is resources of food and other commodities available. It is a free market, and these resources are available through tenders, traders and shop owners. What we need to do, we saw even in the last drought, where people in Nyandarua, like Kipe and other places, were saying we have plenty of cabbages, we have plenty of potatoes, we have plenty of greeneries, you know. So how do we get to our people? So the point would be by empowering somebody and giving him or her 5,000 or 3,000 or 6,000 shillings, they themselves will know where to buy. The traders will go to them. Food will be taken there. We've seen this now in Illiret, in far-flung Ethiopian border in Marsabit County. We've seen it in Laisamis, in Bamba, Ganze, in Kilifi, in Garissa, in Ijara, in Tana River. These traders are doing business. They just need people who can buy. The people we are assisting are vulnerable, who have no purchasing power. They are not credit worthy. But when you give them the money, they're able to buy what they want to buy, what they think is appropriate to them, as opposed to us giving them the same beans, the same whole maize grain that again will take hours and hours of cooking. Where this is not possible, we will do cash vouchers, and we have done food vouchers. We've done this, and it's been done globally in many places. Areas like Baringo, for example, where people may not have mobile money, then we will do in Tiati and in Silale, in Makutani, in Arabal. We can do then, and where we are afraid people may, because of cattle rustling, they may go and drink the money, and we'll give actually the money more to women than men for that matter, because we know women are more responsible when it comes to looking after their family during crisis. So we'll do food vouchers, and we already have talked to traders who in their shops they have food. So once we give them the cash, then they can give the food to the person that has been registered. So that's the second form of food that we'll do. We'll then do water intervention. We know there are a number of boreholes around the country in these areas that have now been damaged because of overuse. So we want to rehabilitate them by providing either new gensets or new power form like solar, so that they can pump more water to give to these communities with their animals. Also, we're talking about nutrition, and for those that will be malnourished, that are in a state that they require extra supplements, we will work with them on that one. And then for those who, if there'll be epidemics, we've seen today in some places already outbreak of cholera and other diseases, infectious skin diseases, then we'll work with those communities. And when the rains come, we are sure that because of the environment with which we live, the water systems are contaminated, there would be cholera outbreaks, which we've had in this country over the many years. So we will also be prepared to respond to that. So I just want to finish very quickly. On the livestock also, we'll be doing destocking. We'll buying animals from the pastoralist community, but giving to them back as meat. So we're hoping that we could buy as many as 15,000 goats and sheep and cattle, but also probably buy cattle about 2,000. This is again a drop in the ocean, but that is something that we intend to do in some of these worst affected areas. These are some pictures that were done in Laisamis about a week ago, where cash transfers were now being given to families in these far-flung areas in Laisamis. The number of beneficiaries by county is there. I don't need to go into that. This is where we also gave in kind in food earlier in Samburu and in Kwale and in Lamu and Kilifi, where we got funding through Safaricom and other donors, KCB. This is where we do animal destocking, where we go to communities, agree with them the price of these animals before they die. If they are still in good condition, then we buy the animals, they are slaughtered and given back to the community as food, and yet they also get the money in that way. So health and nutrition, what we intend to do. Let's continue. And then we continue. So this are just then the figures and the number of people and the household targeted and each of the interventions. So in the nutrition numbers we need to reach, direct cash transfers, 17,500 households are targeted, conditional food vouchers, 7,500 households, rehabilitation of communal watering points, 51 water points or boreholes around the country, animal offtake or slaughter, again like I talked before. So again, those numbers there. And finally, in terms of the figures of the summary budget that we'll be asking for both in kind and cash is about 10 million, that is in Kenya shilling or Swiss francs, about 1 billion Kenya shillings basically. Yeah. So some of the key partners and factors, I want to say the government is our biggest partner in this case. They are in the lead in all the sectors. Ours is to complement their efforts. And through the support of UNICEF, we've also looked at 16 counties on the issue of the contingency planning, but also on the issue of nutrition. And then a future outlook, the rains are not expected to come before March, and even some are saying April. It's likely that this will push the number of counties in the drought emergency phase. Maybe more counties will be affected. And Kenya Records has expanded its targeting to include additional counties should that become a necessity that would be worse off and generally consider hard to reach by humanitarian actors, especially in these far-flung areas. The expectation is that the long range will perform better, although there are some who are saying not, so we're waiting for sometimes in the next few days or weeks for ICPAC and IGAD and Kenya Met to tell us, but there is projection that we may see a third season of rain failure, which would mean that then we're in full-blown La Nina like it happened in 2011. So we are saying that we're asking Kenyans and Kenyan corporate and ordinary citizens, but also friends of Kenya, that as we raise these resources, there are a number of accounts that you can, platform that you can use. You can use M-Pesa, you can use Airtel Money, you can use Equitel and Easy Banking, and the numbers are there. The number of other banks that we work with, all the major banks in this country, and the numbers are also given, but you could do that in all their branches. And I just wanted to say really that really for this thing to succeed, we want to be our brothers and sisters keepers. There may be others to say what is being done, is it enough by the government? I just want to be categoric to say that the government is in the lead on this. And I want to say they have done what they could do so far. But we are part and parcel of this government. We are part and parcel of these countries. So I think as Kenyans, what we are saying is that we all have a responsibility to help our brothers and sisters. This is our country. No one will come from outside to help us build this country. When we have to build it, it is us. When there are crises, it's us to be our brothers and sisters keepers. So I just want to say thank you for coming this morning. I would like to invite Getachew to say a word. Then I'll ask our goodwill ambassador, Gina, who has been involved with the campaigns in the past under Kenyans for Kenya, or whichever hashtag we've used in the past to talk about the unity of this country and the oneness of this country. Gina has seen it all, and as a goodwill ambassador of Kenya Red Cross and coming from the corporate sector, she would be able to add her voice and lend her voice on this matter. IFRC, Gitacho, if you come, IFRC is a parent body of the Red Cross, National Red Cross, Red Crescent worldwide, and the regional office has been our biggest supporter. In terms of our response so far, we've got more support and funding through them, through other sister National Red Cross, Red Crescent societies. But the problem we have today is regional. It's just not only Kenya, although we are only talking about Kenya, and Getachew has a regional responsibility, and I want him to talk to that.
It is still morning. Good morning to everybody. I don't go into the details of the drought situation in Kenya at all, but allow me to say a few words about drought as a whole in East Africa and Indian Ocean Islands. What we call East Africa and Indian Ocean Islands has about 15 countries in it. 11 of them or so on the mainland, the rest, I think, on the island. As is explained to you, you know what has been going on the last 5 years. The thing seems to be repeating itself every 3 to 5 years, and it is repeating itself this year also. We have a very concerning and severe drought here, as is explained, but even worse in Ethiopia. The number of people affected there in need of food and non-food items immediately amounts to something like 5.6 million in Ethiopia alone. We have a similar situation in Somalia. It's a very serious concern. And we have a drought looming and coming up in Tanzania. The rain has failed. We are yet to do thorough assessment and come up with a number of people affected in that area also. Burundi, we have some problems of food security. And Madagascar, close to 1.5 million, which also falls, Madagascar, by the way, falls under the East Africa and Indian Ocean Islands country cluster for the IFRC operation. So in Madagascar, we have 1.5 million people affected. So this is the situation as a whole in East Africa and Indian Ocean Islands now. We are working very closely with our national societies. Our national societies, as you know, have this auxiliary role. As a Red Cross, we are present in each and every community. Red Cross societies, national societies, when working with government, are closely supported by the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, being member national societies. So it is a big job. It's a thing that keeps coming. Some might say, so what is new now here? It has been there for the last 30 years, it keeps coming, it is the same old story. No, it is beyond that. Our response capacity has increased, our early warning, early action has increased, and we want to localize this as much as possible. And we are indeed localizing. And thank you very much, Abbas, for the work that is being done. Thank you to you and your team for addressing the issue before it gets to a level where it is difficult to manage. And that is what we are trying to advertise to other national societies also. Lessons learned from this national society is always shared with your peers, through yourself and through us also. And we very much look forward to the support of not only the Federation, it will always be there. Like Abbas said, you know, we have to care for ourselves and think of being more self-reliant. It's good to be supported by others, but the initial thing should come from us. It is us concerned, we are there on the ground, we see it happening. So the call, the team, Kenyans for Kenya will work and we will all join hands. Thank you very much.
So I'll ask our Goodwill Ambassador to talk to us, and then if there'll be any questions from the media, there are a number of my colleagues who will answer those questions.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to ask for a minute, have you ever thought about what it is like not to have food? I'm sure that most people in this room do not have to worry about being hungry every day. But there are people who are brothers and sisters who do have to think this way. We've just heard the statistics. As a mother, I certainly cannot bear the thought of any child dying in the dust because of hunger. This is my third Kenyans for Kenyans appeal, the first being nearly 20 years ago, and the other one in 2011, which many of you so generously participated. So here we are, fellow Kenyans, in this challenging situation again. We must now put all our energies to think about all of those people that do not make it through the night because of not having any food. For a minute, imagine a life where all you had to think about was when will I eat next, or how will I feed my child tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we have shown the true character and grit of what a Kenyan is. We have risen to the occasion before. We have shown the world that we simply cannot eat if our neighbor is hungry, and we cannot sleep if there's a baby shivering outside our perimeter fence. It is with this sense of urgency that I'm asking each one of you individually and collectively to come together and own this appeal, just like you did in 2011. Kenyans came together in so many different forms. They had contests and concerts and so many fundraising activities. So I'm asking you to please come again and do that. Finally, let us all remember that no matter where we are from, the one thing we must keep in mind, we are all Kenyans, and no Kenyan should sleep hungry. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So we're saying we are all Kenyans, irrespective of our political affiliation, irrespective of our religion, our creed, ethnicity, if we want to call it that way. At the end of the day, we're all Kenyans, and no Kenyan should sleep hungry. And this is what we are saying to the nation. At a time like this, we've always risen to the occasion as Kenyans. We can't thank Kenyans enough for what they've done in the past, that we become our brothers and sisters keepers, irrespective of our differences. This nation is larger than all of us put together, and this is a campaign we want to take to the next level. We believe we all know that we're going to have elections at the end of, in the middle of this year. And again, with the same note, we also plead that we hope and pray that we will have a peaceful election, that at the end of the day, we remain Kenyans and all Kenyans. So if there'll be any question from our colleagues from the Fourth Estate, that we really want to thank you for coming this morning. We'll answer those questions individually out there if you want, with a number of my colleagues. If you want to know about water, if you want to know about health, you want to know about nutrition, about relief, about animal destocking, logistics and all that, and how cash transfer works, there are a number of them out here that can talk to you, and I think Tony and Noella will help us with that. But if there's any specific question to either a Goodwill Ambassador or Getachew or to myself, then we will take those questions now. Yes, sir. If you introduce yourself and your name and then ask your question.
There are deaths due to hunger in Drought by the area people. Can you confirm any deaths?
So what I can say, and again, I'm not the one to confirm or to deny, but we are in North Horr. We have been there registering and doing cash transfers. And my staff who has been there with NTV colleagues who were there early last week. The chief of the area is the one who showed us the 5 graves, and where he claimed that there were 5 people that died. So we want to believe what he says, but we are not the ones that confirm that they did die of that or not. We know animals have died, people have been affected badly. This was stated to us, to my staff, by the area chief, and by the villagers who showed us actually the 5 grapes that you saw that on NTV. So I think I would leave it there. Yes, sir.
My name is Vitalis from KBC. With the situation seemingly repeating itself over the years, do you think enough is being done or enough effort is being put into avoiding the situation likening itself again?
I guess we have to understand the context as Kenyans. When we did Kenyans for Kenya in 2011, and where Kenyans, like Gina said, overwhelmingly came and supported us, we raised about 1 billion shilling. Of that 1 billion, 300 was in kind, 700 was in cash. Of the 700, 50% of it we used to purchase food to feed hungry Kenyans. The other 50% we used to do 3 pilot projects. And I use the word pilot seriously. We did a pilot project in Walda in Moyale. We did a pilot project, and that was on food security and farming. We did a pilot project on a dam in Chamalingot, in Chesimiron, in Tiati. And we did a food security project in the epicenter of that drought, which was in Kaikor in North Turkana. These were 3 pilot projects. Today, those projects are basically functioning. If you go to Tiati, there's huge shortage of water. But that little pond that could hold 300 million liters of water is still up there today holding water, and where animals and people are getting water from that dam, and it's going down. It's about 20% now, depending on the rains and what was captured then. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this to show that the first picture that you saw, 2/3 or 80% of Kenya is arid or semi-arid. The needs are huge. 150 years of colonial government, 53 years of independent Kenya. Not enough investment has been done in infrastructure and in water and in food security in these areas. Not enough have been done with the pastoralists, with the animals, the numbers. How do you cull them? How do you control them? How do you prepare for the emergency? So many times as Kenyans we ask this question, has enough been done? Are we prepared? And I want to say we can be as prepared as we can claim, but you need major investment of many years. The government has spent huge amount of money to respond to the relief. What we need to spend is huge amount in investment in long term. Huge water infrastructure, major dams like they've been planned in Kitui, in Koibatek, in Nandi, Marsabit. There were major plans to do these major dams so that it not give water to human beings and animal, but give water also to for farming. And this is what we need to undertake, major farming in this country to change the way of life. We have plenty of water going to the Indian Ocean every day and into Lake Victoria, but are we doing enough to make Kenyan become food self-sufficient? 30 or so years ago, we were net food exporter. Now we are net on food aid. So the question is not that easily answered. If you want me to tell you no, we're not prepared, there can be argument for and against, but we need to have heavy investment of many years and not one drought after another. There'll be another drought in 3 years because climate change is real, it is here with us, and we need to be prepared. So how are we prepared? Massive investment in water, and in water harvesting, water management, but also in farming, using technology and not rain-fed agriculture, but drip irrigation like many other countries do, even in the deserts, in Israel and many other countries, in Saudi Arabia. Yes, sir.
My name is Patrick Dija from the Star Newspaper. Three questions for you. The first one is comparing the situation of 2011 and right now. We say more people are likely to be affected than the previous. And then I watched you on KTN during the interview, and you said that the predictions were there. So could we say that the government is currently in a denial that this situation should not be declared a national disaster? And then I'm just interested to know, in terms of counties specifically, which one are the most hit?
So, for current, and it changes every day with the situation. You can see how hot it is in Nairobi and how dry it is even in our homes. So I think from our own initial assessment, Kilifi was before, but Kilifi has now been assisted in a big way by the central government, by the county government, by NGOs and many others. So Kilifi has now moved from being in the emergency into stress, and then hopefully can go back to alert. But if you ask me that question, I would say the last question, maybe in my perception, my belief is that maybe Marsabit is today the worst affected by sheer size of the county. You know, from the center of the county, which is, or the capital town of the county is Marsabit town, is 500 kilometers to North Hor, the farthest, in one county. Whereas where we work in Bomet with the ambulances, 60 kilometers from one end to the other. So they're very small counties and huge counties. Today, Marsabit is the largest county in this country, closer to Turkana, I don't know the size. The second question, whether should be declared a disaster or not, or government is in denial, I don't want to go there because that's not my business. My business is their needs. The government is already responding, has been responding. Yes, the predictions have been there. And prediction, the weatherman has told us previously in the last long rains, in the short rains of last year, and now the projection of what may happen in this one. So for me, the government is responding. The government has said they have an emergency at their hand. 2 million people need assistance. So declare, not declare, what is the meaning in the word? Because we're already responding, and we need to continue to respond to assist Kenyans. First one was what? Yeah, the comparison, if you ask me, we launched in 2011, again, the patterns were the same. The long rains previous year, not sufficient. The short rains failed. Then we launched an appeal in January. At least here, the action of the government has been much earlier. From September last year, both the government, Red Cross, UN, have been responding. So we've been already responding. And now, because the crisis and the numbers are increasing, then we're also upping the game by addressing the needs of this new population that are now being caught in the same. Will it be worse than 2011 from the looks of things? Almost, yes. But if we can reverse the situation now, we will not. What you had Getachew saying, Ethiopia, their rain pattern is slightly different. They have been in the drought a bit longer than us now, but the numbers have increased, and the government relaunched this appeal the other day to 5 million people asking for hundreds of millions of dollars. But I believe if the government, us and other actors and well-wishers respond now, we can avert this crisis from becoming extreme. If no any other question, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you most sincerely for coming, especially friends from the private sector. For those who may have further individual questions, I think Tony and Noella will work with you. But let us remember this word: we are all Kenyans. We are saying, even when we say Kenyans for Kenya, in this one, we are all Kenyans. And that's what we want to drive and push here. And we thank them for their continued support over the years. Thank you very much, and God bless Kenya.